Vice Guide to North Korea. Canadian Shane Smith, CEO and founder of Vice, talks about his travels to controversial, notoriously dangerous, and relatively unknown Democratic People's Republic of North Korea. Part of the reason for Mr. Smith's need to travel there is to document what the reality is in this strange country that has always been a cause for concern when talking about weapons of mass destruction. This documentary has been created using the performative mode, one of 6 discussed by Bill Nichols, and it is easy to see why they have chosen this mode. With countless restrictions and regulations on content brought in and out of their society, it is easy to see why Shane and his crew and Jamie used this type of documentary making. Armed with only a point-and-shoot camera and a small digital camera, the pair have had to rely on their creative output, post-documentary interviews, and huge amounts of extracts from North Korean government television in order to put the 3-part documentary together cohesively. As a result, the documentary has been produced in a performative mode, and by using Bill Nichols' criteria sheet, it is easy to justify how this is to be. The documentary is constantly filled with a point of view shot from the perspective of a tourist through the city and other locations of interest. Even while the crew are in a safeguard of South Korea and China, the documentary is still being filmed using a low-grade point-and-shoot camera. The documentary makers are very edgy and are always flirting with trouble, constantly being told off by guards and tour guides, and are always getting warned of their actions when it comes to the local customs. Even threats come from the guards, and there are a few times when the Korean guide seems offended by some things said by Shane. Basically, the whole documentary is a recount of their visit, with a few pieced to cameras while actually in North Korea. And this is for obvious reasons around the content allowed in and out of the country. All of the shots taken in North Korea place the audience in the point of view of Jamie, Shane's cameraman, and basically looks like you are travelling around the country with Shane. This style of camera work is quite a private view and would be disassociated from social perceptions, only that there are already solid social perceptions of the nation already in place created by Western media. These social perceptions are, however, supported through the captured footage and Shane's tone in his dialogue. The documentary is very immersive and really puts you in Shane and Jamie's shoes of travelling around the country. The information and knowledge collected is learned directly from Shane and Jamie, who have obviously experienced travelling to North Korea firsthand. There are no cutaways to experts on North Korea, only to different extracts from the media from both the West and Korea, for which the documentary makers have both experienced firsthand. This one main category outlined by Bill Nichols, how can we describe the modes of documentary film? The way the documentary makers treat knowledge, and it clearly shows this documentary belongs in the performative mode of documentary making. Sound throughout this documentary is very interesting. The majority is comprised of what sounds like Soviet, Russian and Communist Chinese music, which ties into how Shane sees the nation, constantly referring it to Soviet Russia during the Cold War. The music ties these two nations closer. Comparing North Korea to Soviet Russia aids a lot of viewers in understanding North Korean customs. As a very limited amount of people are allowed into the North, not a lot of information about the country is available. Unlike modern-day Russia, for which much information is readily available from both independent studies and first-person recounts of the time. Sound is very controlled by the documentary makers, with controlling all dialogue shown. There is a heavy reliance on both North Korean TV voiceover and Shane's voice from the post-trip interview. There is also a few piece-to-camera cuts with Shane obviously with his voice and Atmos. With regards to ethical concerns of this documentary, the documentary makers have had to walk a fine line between illustrating the truth and not so much a Western-driven media report or controlled North Korean release. The documentary makers have basically left it up to the audience to control and develop their own opinions from the footage given both from Vice and extracts from the North Korean media. Thus, there is a huge degree of honesty as it's raw data. The only deception and misrepresentation is the North Korean media extracts, which is in the documentary to further show what the local media is like and the vast difference between what the media say and the reality of the country. There seems to be no signs of distortion within the documentary, which gives the audience the chance to form their own opinion based on Shane's experience having travelled there. This mode of performative documentary is especially prevalent in the definition of a voice characterised by a strongly personal, engaged orator pursuing the truth of what it feels like to experience the world in a particular way. This part of Bill Nichols' criteria sheet is an exact match of Shane's approach towards the documentary. Shane provides his truthful experiences. For example, at the Great Banquet, Shane recounts how they are bringing out all this food just for him. He explains that the Koreans are obviously trying to impress him with their bountiful amount of food, and that it is a little ridiculous. According to reports from the World Health Organization, most of the country is suffering from starvation. Shane never states any facts about this, but rather leaves it up to the audience's devices to form their own opinion or even possibly do their own research on the subject. Overall, the documentary, The Vice Guide to North Korea, is a performative documentary and comfortably fits within the categories within Bill Nichols' How Can We Describe the Modes of Documentary and Film?